I will tolerate some banter, but on some issues you are so unmistakably wrong that I will not allow us to progress past it. Civility ends here, okay? You're lying if you say it's anything other than...
No, you're lying if you're saying it's that simple. The
Okay,
reason that it
no,
hasn't
you can't,
happened-
no, yeah.
What you're saying is
So,
true as well.
as soon
It
as
doesn't negate what I'm saying, which is also true.
It does, because you're lying. We're like beyond epistemics right now. We're like at the beating heart of the universe when we talk on these issues, okay? And also make sure to sub to the channel, okay? This is the main channel, the Vaush pit, and I don't know, some of the clip channels. Get over there too.
Hey, Vaush.
Howdy.
Hey, man, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I wanted to call in and just kind of have a calm, rational conversation where I kind of talk about a libertarian perspective. So I want to point out a few things about the Ukraine war, which are very unique and different than most wars. And if I'm wrong, let me know. Let's start with Crimea, just because I think it's important. That specific region is very different than what's happening in the Donbass and the current Ukraine conflict. Now, two important things about Crimea, and then I want to talk about the larger Ukraine issue. Crimea in 1954, when you know Ukraine was a socialist republic and so was Russia, they did not feel the type of nationalism that we feel today because they were just part of a federation, just like New Jersey.
Don't you think
New
it's
York.
kind of weird to introduce all of this as a prelude to an unambiguous armed conquest of a territory?
No, I'm trying to explain why.
I want to save you time. I don't care. Crimea could have been made an official part of Ukraine 5 hours before the annexation, and I would not care. It was a military invasion where troops were used to seize and annex a territory. It had nothing to do with democracy. The people did not will it. The governments did not approve of it. It was just a land grab. It was no different from Hitler annexing the Sudetenland. At least when he annexed Austria, he was celebrated as a hero by some Austrians. In this case, the government didn't even, like, concede anything. The Ukrainian government just had land taken from them. Additionally, legally speaking, Russia has already acknowledged the sovereignty of Crimea. This is a done deal legally.
Again, it's important to understand from a libertarian perspective, but my point is simply this. I am telling you as a libertarian, right? Sometimes who's at fault? The answer is there are bad people on every side.
No, that's not what happened here. Russia initiated literally every level of aggression. There is no both sides. What you're doing there is fascist apologia, meaning that you also get the distinguished honor of being the bad guys. By equating a democratic country defending itself and a fascist country invading another, you are providing defense for that fascist country. The blame game is critical here. Before deciding who is at fault, imagine arriving at the end of World War II and not trying to find who is at fault at the end of that conflict. Imagine, you know, the Nuremberg trials are getting set up or whatever. Okay, well, you know, Nazi Germany did this or that or whatever. But, you know, at the same time, also, we had Dresden. I mean, we had civilians killed by the French and the British as well. If you do not decide on who the initial moral criminal is, you can never then arrive at justice. Sometimes situations are very complicated, but World War II wasn't, and neither is this.
Look, I understand the appeal of Godwin's law because you want to have a clear moral case here. You want to have a bright line. The fact is, most wars are not like that. If I talked about Yemen or Vietnam or indeed Laos or anything, what you're going to get is you're going to get a complex patchwork of who was right and who was wrong.
I'm talking about the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Yes, good. And that's also complex. And I want to get into that.
It is not.
Okay. So you said last time something that I think almost conceded the whole point to the libertarian viewpoint. You're making a positive claim that Ukraine is a democracy. I want them to be a democracy.
It is a democracy.
Well, I don't know how you can consider something to be a democracy which disenfranchised literally a huge percentage of its population.
Every country on earth disenfranchises a portion of its population. They have a system which responds...
the percentage of the population which elected Yanukovych, the Party of Regions, its
voter base
has been completely disenfranchised since 2014.
How so?
They cannot vote in national elections.
How so?
Their vote simply isn't counted.
Their vote, so just how? What?
Because they are in Donbass, they are in Luhansk and
Donetsk. Okay. And what happened in the Donbass?
That's what I'm telling you chronologically.
It's an occupied area.
So it's a democracy in which democracy is
are you blaming Ukraine for being invaded? Like, yeah, they can't count votes in the area controlled by Russia.
I want to be clear. I don't assign blame because I think it's useless for solving conflicts.
Okay, why do you think they're not counting votes in the area currently controlled by armed Russian separatist militants?
Because they don't like well, in the past they didn't like the Minsk agreements, which called for, and again were promoted by
Russia
France,
never followed the
Germany,
Minsk agreement.
Belarus.
Okay, no, stop. This is I refuse to go down this road. This is too laughable, okay? It is
Why?
occupied territory. The reason
Yes,
the votes there aren't
I
counted
agree.
is because there is a foreign military in that area.
But prior to that,
Ukraine is not less of a democracy because there is a foreign military occupying an area which makes it impossible to fully contribute to democracy. That's
I understand,
ridiculous.
Vaush, but we've got to be able to do this. We've got to be able to go chronologically before a certain event, and then act as if this we're not going to talk about this event yet, and just describe what led up to the event, okay? Without invoking future events as a rationale for past events, okay? So can we pick 2014, the Maidan, before Russia invaded?
So
before
when were
Russia,
they disenfranchised? Because, hold on, Yanukovych fled on February
they
22.
were disenfranchised ever since they went out to secede and protest against the Maidan.
Okay.
Ever since then.
So to be clear, okay, so I want to tell you the window of time during which you're saying millions had the right to vote taken from them. Yanukovych fled on the 22nd of February. The Donbass was invaded just 1 month later in March 2014. There was a 1 month gap between Yanukovych fleeing and the Donbass being invaded. So how could there possibly have been voter disenfranchisement of the people in that area that was not a product of Russia prompting the invasion?
I think the most important thing here is to understand how we go about solving problems and describing things. Okay? So for me, I look at things systemically.
I really
look
want a
at it-
direct answer to this question. You're telling me that in 1 month they passed legislation to exclude them from democracy? How?
No, effectively, they never voted again.
Because they were invaded by Russia. But you said
Look,
that this
I
was
can- I
before the
can-
Russian invasion.
It's a bit like saying, if you will permit me, it's a bit like saying in 2006, Gazans elected Hamas. I was following that election and I saw they elected Hamas largely because of the social programs that were superior to Fatah, not necessarily because of Hamas's stance of rejecting Israel's right to exist.
How can they
But
vote
afterwards,
when they're invaded?
here's the point. Afterwards, they never had an election again.
Why
So the
have they
majority
not
of
had an
people-
election? Why?
Because the majority of
What? No. Why have the people in the Donbass not been able to participate in a democratic election in Ukraine? It's not disenfranchisement. It's another thing that happened. You're lying if you say it's anything other than...
No, you're lying if you're saying it's that simple. The
Okay,
reason that it
no,
hasn't
you
happened,
can't. No. I will tolerate some banter, but on some issues you are so unmistakably wrong that I will not allow us to progress past it.
May I finish my
Civility
sentence and
ends.
then you tell me
Civility
if it's
ends here. Okay. So
okay.
this is retarded. They were invaded 1 month after Yanukovych fled. You did this whole lead up talking about how the people of the Donbass were discriminated against, how they were persecuted, removed from democracy. How could Ukraine possibly be a liberal democracy if they would remove millions from the vote? And what actually happened? Russia removed them from the vote by invading.
Tell you,
Any other framing of this event is lying. It's not just dishonesty, it's willful
just
lying.
because I said the same thing back to you. You said I'm lying, and I'm trying to rhetorically tell you.
You did lie. Because if I wasn't the kind of person who I knew about this, or B, Googled things while talking, I would have just gone on and accept, oh, millions of
I
people...
am not lying.
Millions of people were disenfranchised by the new Ukrainian government?
Again,
Oh, of course.
I don't know what I don't see your screen. I don't know what you're Googling, but I will tell you, you can Google right now, Frontline PBS, the battle for Ukraine. All you have to do is look at what BBC, Newsweek,
What
and
election
others
were
said
they not allowed to vote in?
2015. I'm sorry?
I'm not going to look up a specific documentary section. What election were they not allowed to vote in?
You can look up BBC Newsnight. You can look up any time from that time, any
Just any BBC
documentary.
Newsnight, like any of them?
No, BBC Newsnight about the neo-Nazis in the Maidan. Like literally, they went to they interviewed all of them. They actually went, and back then it was a
Okay,
completely different
so
narrative.
you watched it. Share the knowledge with me. What election were
I'm
millions of
happy to.
Russian-speaking people not allowed to participate in?
Okay. So you're conflating two things. You did this before with the invasion of 22 and 14. You call that an invasion. Fine. But now you're conflating two other things. You're conflating my statement that these people were never allowed to vote again, and therefore
Why weren't they
Ukrainian
allowed to vote again?
Can I finish my thought and
Nope.
then I'll answer that question?
No, because you won't
Why do
ever.
you
No,
cut
no,
me
no. I've
off?
talked with you twice. I know you won't answer it. I'm holding it to you here.
I will. I'll
Why? No,
answer
no,
your
no. You
question,
won't.
but
You
then
won't. You won't. Why? Just you. Then you can continue. Why weren't they able to vote?
I'll hold you to that. They weren't able to vote in 2013 because at the time
We're talking. Wait, you were talking after. Wait, no. Now you're conflating. We're talking after Euromaidan. That's what you said.
I'm trying to answer your question.
But you said after
Thoroughly.
Euromaidan that isn't attributable to the Russian invasion.
Look, I'll just give you the answer you want to hear, and then I'll talk, okay?
The answer to the question, yes.
Yeah, the answer to the question that you want to hear is that by arming the rebels in the Donbass, Russia had escalated the conflict, and I blame them for that severely, because that is
They
what
didn't
led to
escalate the conflict. There was no conflict. They started the conflict.
There was no conflict, really?
I'm sorry, did Ukraine have troops in Russia at the time?
Ukraine had troops in the Donbass.
You mean in Ukraine?
Do you think killing your own people is good?
Wait, no, stop. You're doing it again. They didn't escalate the conflict. Russia, a foreign nation, was not under attack by Ukraine. They initiated the conflict.
When are you going to give me 60 seconds of uninterrupted?
You can't say they're like, oh well, Ukraine had troops in the Donbass. Yeah,
Fine.
in Ukraine. That's Ukraine.
Donbass is Ukraine. I'm trying to answer as best I can, but I need 60 seconds, man. Can I just do that?
Okay, but if you lie in the first 5, I'm gonna interrupt you.
I'm literally trying to be as accurate as I can, let alone not lie. So by every metric, by every description, carrying guns into the Capitol building, carrying guns into the Congress, overrunning barricades. By every metric, they overran the Congress. They went into the building. They had guns in every sense of the word. And it was all started when right-wing nationalists, were a small minority, started firing and then escalated conflict because many people had guns.
This was several lies in a row.
This is on Wikipedia, by the way.
It's not. I ousted you in Wikipedia.
Go to Revolution of Dignity on Wikipedia.
There were massive protests, and the violence was initiated when Yanukovych was told by Putin to start firing on the crowd. Yanukovych also tried to pass through his Congress a number of highly authoritarian anti-protester laws.
It's also true.
Yes.
What you're saying is true as well.
As soon as
it doesn't negate what I'm saying, which is also true.
It does, because you're lying.
Similar to January 6th. The clashes started after
you keep comparing these, just so I think this is completely based, by the way. I wish our January 6th was like this.
Interesting. So you just said that you don't like what happened in Brazil. You don't like January 6th.
Yeah, that's because the January 6th protesters were fascists. Brazil, the Bolsonaro stands, were fascist. These guys were protesting Yanukovych turning their country into an authoritarian dictatorship.
So 20,000 demonstrators marching on the parliament building demanding a new constitution and government, to me, sounds like destabilizing the country.
For good, yeah. Destabilization is justified if it has good long-term outcomes. In this case, it did. The Putin stooge and authoritarian left, and they got a liberal democracy afterwards. Zelensky's government has overseen a great revival of Ukraine in a number of ways, in spite of the fact that Russia keeps nipping at them from the east.
Whoa. So, Vaush, I want to understand your positions, right? Your principles. Are you saying your principles are good only for people you don't like, or people you like go and do the same thing and you support that? Like, what are your principles for stability and overthrowing governments then? I don't understand. Can you give me a consistent...
Yes, it's good when good things happen and bad when bad things happen. It's good when fascists lose and bad when good guys lose.
So you believe in good guys and bad guys?
Yes, I believe in the concept of ethics. Me and every other person who's ever thought about it for more than 3
You literally sound like the Republicans who believe that there is a good and bad and moral.
Everyone believes in ethics, including you. You've been making ethical appeals the entire time we've been talking. Yes,
sure.
Some groups are... No, stop. Some groups are better than others. fascists leading a government are worse than leftists leading a government. So I am willing to fight for leftists leading a government, even if there's some hardship along the way, because the outcome you get from the long term is superior to the hardship you experience in the short term. This is also known as politics. This is how all politics works. Literally everything you do and fight for is going to come at the cost of something, so you better make sure that whatever you're trying to get to is ethically worthwhile, right?
No, I'm completely. You're talking about a zero-sum game.
Okay,
Were
so wait,
Stalin
okay, wait,
and
okay.
Mao
So wait,
leftist
let me
in
let me
your
try to
view or
okay,
not?
let me try to okay, so no, we're not talking zero-sum game. Okay, let me try this. So the Nazis lost. That's good, right? Because the Nazis were
Yes.
bad. Okay.
Yes,
Well, how can you possibly say that? Are you saying it's good when people lose? Are you
because they committed a genocide. They were going to kill more people.
Wait, okay, wait. So let me get this straight. You think it's good when people lose just because you don't like other things they've done?
It's not just some people did something, bro. They killed an entire. They went after gypsies and Jews, and look at the Japanese, how they were genociding Chinese. Yes, that's bad, man.
They didn't think
Yes.
that was bad.
Yes, and they were wrong.
Well, how can you, bro? You sound like those Republicans.
Because I talk about killing, genociding millions of people is wrong. You're talking about if our guys win, the leftists win, we could totally destroy governments and overturn elections and constitutions. What is your standard here? So was Stalin
okay, one more
leftist or
time.
not when he was robbing banks?
No, he was not.
Good or bad?
Stalin was bad.
Okay.
Overturning
So, he was a leftist though, wasn't
overturning an authoritarian government is good. A popular
he?
protest.
Was Castro a leftist?
Yes. And yes, he's
Okay.
better
Was
than
Mao a
Batista.
leftist? So was Mao a leftist?
It really depends on what day you met him.
I see. Well, on the day he was a leftist, was he totally cool in, confiscating the food from the villagers, exacerbating a famine for 3 years?
What the fuck are you talking about?
The Great Famine in China?
Are you asking if I'm pro-famine?
No, I am simply saying that you are arbitrarily choosing a label like leftist, and you're approving the very actions that you rail against.
So
in the other case, because they create instability.
We're running all the way back. Like we're like beyond epistemics right now. We're like at the beating heart of the universe when we talk on these issues. Okay, I need you to understand
What's
this.
your position?
I
Consistent
think
position.
good things are good, and bad things are bad.
That's a tautology that says nothing.
Oh, okay.
Everyone
then,
thinks that.
Then we'll build out one further. Okay. I think that if you're going to overthrow the government, you'd better have a damn good reason, and it's a bad reason if you're a bunch of fascists who want to overturn the democratic election results of a liberal. But it's a good reason if your lunatic Putin stooge president on Black Friday or Black Thursday or whatever they called it passed a bunch of dictator laws that like single-handedly turned your country into a fucking authoritarian state. If those protesters are going to like protest and go in the parliament building, I think that's really good, because in that case, they're fighting for something good, the removal of authoritarianism. Hold on, wait, really quickly.
This is the thing
really
that leads
quickly.
to
Okay,
war.
wait, really quickly. Which I'm sorry, we need to keep pulling this, okay? You said you literally lost family in the Holocaust, correct? Ja, meine Freunde, your piggish Western arrogance. What the fuck are you? I stopped talking for 2 seconds and you assault me with another.
Now, make sure to hit the like button, share this with just about everyone you've ever known.